And so, Genesis 20. Before, I mean, I'm still stuck on Genesis 19 and how weird it is. Like, it's just stuck in there in the middle of the rest of it, as if the editor decided to put this other story in the middle of Abraham's story and just say, hey, let's put this in here and confuse the heck out of all of them. And, I mean, people talk about there being no, Bible thumpers talk about no moral relativism, how morality is absolute and all that stuff. But it's right there. It's right there. That's moral relativism in Lot. He really doesn't have much more moral high ground than the Sodomites did. He was about to give his daughters up to be raped. I mean, where's the moral high ground in that? And then the incest, and it's just like, but okay, so God had some purpose for them, or found something redeemable about them, or maybe it was their offspring, or some future thing that they needed that for. That's more important than the morality of the moment. And, that's moral relativism. Lot was not as bad as the Sodomites, so they saved Lot. But it's not like he was a saint. He was kind of a moron, in my opinion. Anyway, moving on back into the main storyline here, after that interruption. Genesis 20, Abraham and Abimelek. Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed at Gerar, and there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelek, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelek in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelek had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister,' and didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live." Excuse me. "But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die." Early the next morning, Abimelek summoned all his officials, and when he told him all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Abimelek called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never have been done." And Abimelek asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelek brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelek said, 'My land is before you. Live wherever you like.' To Sarah he said, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelek, his wife, and his female slaves so they could have children again, for the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelek's household from conceiving because of Abraham's wife Sarah." What? More of this, like, what? Sarah's Abraham's sister? Half-sister? What? It's just... there are these bizarre relationships that don't make any sense to us. I mean, marrying your sister? I mean, dude, that's weird. So, I mean, I don't see any moral justification there. I mean, certainly I don't even see any public health justification. Like, that's genetically dangerous. You know, you produce offspring with increased incidences of birth defects and such. You know, I don't get it. I mean, why would Abimelek be stricken from having children if he committed adultery? Excuse me. When so many other people in the time are committing adultery right and left and having tons of children. It's just because it's great. That's lovely. Oh, that's just a hair. It's just because it's him, I guess. It's just because it's Abraham, and Abraham has something special for God. I really don't get it. Why this guy, you know? But then I have to say, hey, I'm grateful, because why me? You know? I'm a mess. I've screwed up. Especially in my younger years. And yet somehow God had some kind of reason to keep me going. You know, with a special little sign just for me. Just to keep me going. You know, to give me hope to go on. To give me hope that there's redemption in the world. And beyond the world. And so I have to look at it that way. And be able to say, okay, well, yeah, these people are a little messed up, but so am I. And yet God has something special in store for me. So it's really not about, I mean, it is and it isn't, you know. It isn't about who you were. It's about who you're trying to be for God, for that ideal, for whatever purpose is beyond what we can see. I mean, Abraham knows that his purpose is beyond bringing in the harvest and, you know, taking care of his sheep. He has some bigger purpose. He knows it's there. He doesn't know exactly what it is. It turns out it's to be the father of nations and so on. But he knows it's there. And that keeps him going forward. That keeps him seeking. And that's, I guess, what I have to look at is like, I'm not perfect. These people weren't perfect. And far from it. You know? So, but there's something redeemable about them in the eyes of God. I don't know why. But what do we do with that information? We just go on. One day at a time and just keep going. Hoping more will be revealed. 21. The birth of Isaac. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, and as he said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. And she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Hagar and Ishmael sent away. The child grew and was weaned, and on the last day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly, because it concerned his son. But God said to him, do not be distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bowshot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. and as she sat there, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. The treaty at Beersheba. At that time, Abimelek and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything that you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness I have shown you." Abraham said, "I swear it." Then Abraham complained to Abimelek about a well of water that Abimelek's servants had seized. But Abimelek said, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today." So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelek, and the two men made a treaty. Abimelek set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock, and Abimelek asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba. Abimelek and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. So, this is one of those, it almost seems like these are out of order, because it said that he sent Hagar and the son to the desert of Beersheba, but then that place hadn't even been called Beersheba yet until they had this argument about the well. Either way, though, again, Abraham is like, what a jerk. He just takes the mother of his son and said, "Hey, here's a jug of water. Get out. Go to the desert and die. Screw you. My wife doesn't like you, so see ya." And, trust in God. How else is she supposed to feel except complete despair? What a jerk. Not even not even providing for her with a train of mules or something, and maybe some servants to go with her, to, make a new town or something. Just take the mother of his child and his baby boy and just send him out in the desert with a jug of water. And that's it. How freaking inconsiderate and cruel Abraham actually is in his acting here. He's like, "Oh, God told me to do this thing. Oh yeah, go on, get out of here." It's almost as if he's just using God as an excuse for his own selfishness. Because he's selfish, he's a prick. And I don't mind saying it. I don't care. We all get signs from God. You can think that about me, too. But it's just amazing. It's atrocious. He just sends her on her way into the desert with a jug of water. What a jerk. And then he's given his flock of lambs to Abimelek for what? To buy back the well that he dug himself? What? He's a jerk and kind of a wimp, before authority. It just doesn't make any sense. He doesn't make any sense. The guy's crazy, clearly. But God is there, fortunately, for Hagar to take care of her and Ishmael. Just barely. By the skin of their teeth, they find a well. And then they go on, and who knows what happens to them. Maybe she finds a husband who can take care of the baby, and they find becomes an archer, so they're living in the desert, and they find a wife for the son, and okay. So things turned out okay, but not thanks to Abraham. Thanks only to God, because Abraham is a moron, and a cruel moron at that. He could have done so much more, but he didn't. And God loves him anyway. I don't understand. That's it for now.